Firstly, I ask the opportunity from all the senior monks and all the Sangha gathered here together and all the good lay people gathered in this hall on this significant occasion, almost historical occasion for our monastery at Amaravati. I was thinking as I went for a walk along the lane here that it is very rare and extremely unusual that we meet a complete stranger in our lives and that person changes our whole direction of our life and changes us as a human being. And it's unusual that that happens. Usually it's people that we know or related to or have some past association. But I think there's certainly many of the monks and nuns here, and so many of the lay people are going to take part in this gathering today of a recollection of 90 years well lived by Lupu Samedo, who have been affected by his life and by meeting him. Meeting a complete stranger and then hearing the wise guidance and advice that that stranger has given us, and then that has somehow had an impact on our lives that we've completely changed our views, our perception of life, and given us an aspiration and a hope for freedom and liberation, because that individual has pointed us to the Dhamma, to the truth. And that's extremely rare, that we actually have a stranger come into our life and then light a candle that dispels the darkness. So that's, I think, the uniqueness of this gathering, is that we're coming to rejoice in having met, engaged with, learnt from, and then sometimes made commitments, long-term, lifetime commitments to the same path as Lupu Samedo has pointed out to us, the path of the Buddha. And so this is very unique and it's a very special occasion. And so we've come together out of gratitude and appreciation. The Buddha said that there is two people that are rare in the world. That is a person, firstly, who reflects in their life of who has helped me and how have they helped me and in what way have they assisted me in my life. What way have they educated me, trained me, and given me guidance. A person who reflects like that is very rare. The second person that is extremely rare, the Buddha said, is someone who then thinks, that person has helped me and guided me and given me advice, assisted my life in many special ways. How can I repay them? What can I do for them? In some gesture, some way, some assistance, some help. And that's what's brought us here all today. Every one of you has become one of those rare people in the world on reflecting that Lupu Samedo has made a big impact on our lives in many ways. And now we want to show our dedication, respect, gratitude by bowing down, asking for forgiveness, offering gifts and flowers and candles and incense, and also by our practice of Buddha Dhamma as a way of emulating his effect on us personally and us as a group, and also on Buddhism in the West in particular. So one thing that when I was in Thailand and Lupu Samedo came and stayed at our monastery, I noticed there were certain themes of Dhamma that I'm sure many of you have heard over and over again. And the first one was this gratitude and appreciation, particularly to the Dhamma, to the Buddha, to the Sangha, and also to the way of practice. And the second quality was he would emphasize was contentment. Contentment with the gifts and requisites that we have, especially as a Sangha, a community. Contentment, the Buddha said, there's no other quality that leads to peace as the quality of contentment. There's no other quality that leads to unhappiness as discontentment. And so he would greatly emphasize that. And then, of course, he would emphasize the essence of the Buddha's teaching, the Four Noble Truths. One day, I was walking behind Lupa Sumedho on alms round, and he was still very strong at that point and would go to alms round to the front of the monastery every day. And on this occasion, he suddenly stopped and turned around and said, almost like a lion's roar, it was a very powerful, poignant moment. It made me stand still and just breathe in, because he said, I have nothing left to do in this life except to repay my gratitude to the Buddha and to Ajahn Chah. And it really moved me, because you could see that he was making a statement about himself, and then also about the benefits of the path, and also showing an example. And so I would like to give that to you to reflect on how too can we pay respects to the Buddha as being Buddhists, and then also to our teachers. And the other thing that I would like to convey, because I don't think it's actually probably known here in England, is that one time, 47 years ago, on the 15th of May, Ajahn Chah he was here in England for the first time, and he was staying at the Hampstead Vihara. And he was originally invited there by the group, particularly George Sharp, to see if the possibility of Buddhism in England and how he could help. And that afternoon, Ajahn Chah was sitting by himself in his room and sat meditation. And after the meditation, he kept a diary, and he wrote down in that diary all the events that had happened on the journey to England and his experiences in England. And he wrote this diary in his own handwriting in Thai. And he said in that journal entry that the truth arose and manifested within him. He had a vision. He had a vision that England was like an ancient orchard, but it was overgrown. There was vines all over the trees. There were beautifully developed fruit trees, but they weren't producing any flower or fruit. But the soil was good. And if there was a gardener here, then that gardener could then clear that orchard, clear the vines, the weeds, fertilize the trees and nourish them and water them, and this great orchard would produce fruit. And then he said two things arose within him, that what is hot will become cool, what is dark will become light. And he called it a vision of Dhamma in the diary entry. And when Lupa Sumedho was staying with me in Wat Ratanawan, we were talking about his experience when he came to England with Ajahn Chah, and he told me that one day in the afternoon, Lupa Chah invited him to his room And he had expected that he came to England just for 3 or 4 weeks, nice trip overseas for the first time with his teacher. Then he would be going back to Thailand. He'd been a monk for 10 years at this time. Suddenly Lupa Cha called him to his room and said, "Sumedho, rip your ticket up. You're not going back. You're staying here." And what I didn't know at the time, because I had read the diary, that Lupa Cha never told Lupa Sumedho about his vision and why he wanted him to stay. And Lupa Sumedho was telling me that he felt like an abandoned orphan. Lupa Cha got on the plane and he had to see him off at Heathrow, and he just felt abandoned in this new country, which wasn't his home country, and to start something new here. But Ajahn Chah had given him the advice to be committed to the practice of Dhamma Vinaya, the ways of training of the Buddha. Stick to that. And because of that, his faith in Ajahn Chah and his commitment to Ajahn Chah and his trust in Ajahn Chah and Ajahn Chah's trust in him to complete the task was such that he stayed for 34 years in the initial time he was here before he went back to Thailand, and now he's come back again to continue on. When he told me that he did not know about Ajahn Chah's vision, I printed it out, I read it to him, and he was very moved because he said, "That's the first time I've heard an explanation of why he asked me to stay. I didn't know. He never told me, he just told me to stay." And I was so moved by that because I just envisioned myself saying being taken off to a strange country and then just told by your teacher or your parent, "You stay here. I'm going back. I'll leave you alone. Just get on with it." And then to have the vision, the commitment, the faith, the patience and the endurance to begin something totally new and make it work, to establish the Sangha here in England, that was the first aim of the Buddhist Society at Hemel Hempstead. They wanted to establish a Sangha. That was the purpose of their aims and aspirations, to establish a Sangha here in the UK. And Ajahn Sumedho, following those instructions by Lupa Cha, over the years has been very successful with all your help and support in fulfilling those aspirations by Ajahn Chah and carrying through until we have this situation we have now. You see this great gathering here today. And that great gathering is to pay respects to and appreciation and gratitude to Ajahn Sumedho's commitment and dedication and his faith to the path and practice of Dhamma Vinaya, and we can see the effects that can have on our lives and the lives of many, many people around us. So I would just like to give that as a reflection for you this morning of this anumodana. So we're coming here to rejoice, saying sadhu, it is well. It is well that we've met the Dhamma in this lifetime. It is well that we've met good Sangha, good teachers, and heard the true teachings in this lifetime. It is well we're committed to the practice of the Buddha's teachings in this lifetime. And may that continue till we obtain the highest blessings, that is the blessings of release. So I just would hand that over you as a Dhamma reflection this morning, and rejoice in your presence here today, every one of you.
Sadhu, 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 anumodami. Thank you very much indeed, Ajahn. So if there are any offerings to be made this morning, then please do make those, and then we'll offer the anumodana, the blessing, after that.